So really want to share just quickly and briefly, of course, what is the holistic approach and what is holistic wellness. And I really want you guys to be able to leave with just the tools and the understanding to better utilize all the different aspects of holistic health and holistic wellness to better manage stress, which is something that, of course, I hear so often from all of my clients, all of my friends. Something obviously I deal with myself is stress management, and something that is a very important aspect of feeling our best, making sure that we're managing stress in the best way possible. So I want, like I said, I've broken it down to help you guys leave with a better understanding of how to practice this in your own life. Broken it down into some of the top areas that I find, like I said, with my clients, with my community, that people are just struggling with the most, and that these are just some different approaches to help you guys kind of integrate it all together. So we'll dive into, of course, briefly, since we don't have a ton of time today, but I want to make sure that we get into some tidbits about diet, nutrition, mindfulness practices, movement, the role of technology in stress management, some alternative medicine practices and approaches, and some supplement recommendations for you guys. So first things first, like I said, is just briefly want you guys to understand what the holistic, quote unquote, approach is in general. And, as an integrative nutrition health coach or holistic nutritionist, really what that means is taking a whole person, quote unquote, approach towards wellness. A lot of times when I start working with clients, or when people, see what I do, they think that, okay, it's holistic. It's going to be, all of these sort of like woo-woo tinctures and different, ways of approaching health from, an alternative perspective. And of course, I love all that kind of stuff. I think there is such a great place for all those different approaches in a well-rounded approach towards wellness. But really in this context, what we're talking about is, like I said, a holistic, whole person approach towards health and wellness. So what that can include are, as you can see here, so many different aspects of you and your health and wellness, everything from emotional health to physical health, spiritual health, etc. So I love using this little visual, which is the 8 dimensions of wellness, as a good understanding just of, how all these aspects are important to take into consideration, but also how they're all related. So that's really a good just intro to what holistic health is. So we can dive more deeply into how this relates to stress management and taking all different aspects of your life and you, the person, into consideration. We're talking about how to improve your stress management. So taking that into account, like I said, I want to dive into a variety of elements of stress management, but also of, quote, holistic health that I find helpful with my clients. And these are just things I end up talking about a lot because people, I think, struggle a lot in these areas and would like some tips. So first things first is diet and nutrition. When it comes to stress management specifically, I think that it's important to understand, what we can be focusing on and what we want to limit in terms of, of course, our diet and nutrition. My approach is so much less about, what we need to cut out in our diet. It's more about focusing on what we should add in. And oftentimes that ends up sort of crowding out some of the things that potentially aren't helping us feel our best, maybe making us feel more stressed, because diet and nutrition play a humongous role in our mental health and how we feel. So some recommendations for you guys. First things first, of course, is what we want to focus on. So real whole foods, typically just always the right way to go. And what that can include specifically for mental health, for stress management, breaking that down into, high fiber fruits and veggies. Anything that's going to be really good for our gut is going to be great for our mental health, because there's that brain gut connection, which I could talk about in a whole different session. But when you're wanting to think about improving your brain health, improving your mental health, really focusing on gut healthy foods. So like I said, high fiber fruits and veggies, healthy fats, a lot of colorful foods, eating the rainbow, focusing on like live and fermented foods. So that can be things, like kimchi and sauerkraut and tempeh and those types of things. All really good for your gut, like I said. So on the other hand, what we want to limit are things that are going to really essentially spike our blood sugar. And the reason that plays a role in this conversation is that oftentimes when we're consuming a lot of, refined carbohydrates, sugar, things like that, gives us that boost momentarily, but it oftentimes crashes. We hear like the blood sugar crash. We feel, not so great, but it can actually play a role in anxiety and stress and things like that, actually leaving us feeling worse than when we started. So like I said, focusing on, a balanced meal, real whole foods, those things help sort of mitigate some of those crashes, which actually leaves us feeling, less anxious, more energized, more, better ability to concentrate, all those good things. Some other things we may want to limit include, things like caffeine, which same thing, it can give us that great boost in the moment, but can leave us feeling a little sluggish in the afternoon. So swapping for things like tea, matcha, all that good stuff. And then of course, last thing here, just things to limit alcohol in excess. We know that it, may feel good in the moment, but it's really a downer. So it can actually increase feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, all that stuff. So as we have seen, we know that food impacts stress levels. We know that food impacts how we feel directly. So just taking into consideration how, when we're approaching how we can better manage our stress and feel our best in general, how diet plays obviously a big role in that. Moving on to mindfulness practices. So this is something I get a lot of questions about from whether it's my clients, community, whatever, people that are looking to manage stress, aka all of us. Mindfulness practices play a huge role in that. And what that essentially means is a mindfulness practice can be anything that helps you feel connected to both yourself, whether that's like to your physical body, to your breath, things like meditation, all that good stuff, but also connected to something greater than yourself. So I think of, getting out in nature and leaving your cell phone behind and being present in that moment, present with something larger with yourself, larger than yourself, is also a sense of mindfulness. So there's a lot of things we could do to increase our mindfulness, which helps us manage our stress better. Like I said, things that help you sort of connect with yourself can be, journaling, meditation. I think that things can help you connect to something greater than yourself. Earthing, like getting outside and actually being on the ground, getting your feet into, the grass. There's so many great benefits of that. Just being outside in nature, going on a walk, like I said, without your phone, just being present with that. And, breath work is another great modality for mindfulness. But essentially, all of these examples of mindfulness practices provide a grounding element to your day. And I think that now we live in a world where we're so connected through technology, just, have so many things going on in our lives, that having a grounding aspect of our day, whether it's in the morning or the evening or both or throughout our day, is so important. And mindfulness practices essentially over time help us build mental, emotional resilience to stress. So they build over time. One meditation practice or, one day of meditation is not necessarily going to change your level of stress overall, but it's consistency over time. Okay, so moving on to movement. Movement's another thing we know can be great for our stress. Exercise can be really wonderful for not just physical health, but for mental health. So again, taking it into, the conversation of holistic health. So I think that understanding the benefits of of exercise for managing stress, so it goes beyond just the physical benefits for cardiovascular health and, having muscle and all those good things is wonderful for our physical health and our physical body. But movement can be a really wonderful way to move through stressful emotions, to really change our mental state just as much as our physical state. So, regular exercise is really great for improving self-confidence, improving your mood, helping you relax, lowering symptoms of depression, anxiety, so many good benefits. But I think in this conversation, it's important to understand that the type of exercise and how much is important. I think for anyone that is predisposed to things like anxiety or you're feeling really stressed, low impact movement is really important to lean into. Things like walking or yoga, like Pilates, when you're feeling acutely stressed, because essentially exercise is stress. It's putting stress on our bodies. So we want to be mindful of how much additional stress we're putting on our bodies. A little bit is good. A lot can actually create more problems than it solves. So just being aware of, how you are treating your body in a stress state, and just being mindful of, again, the type and how long you're exercising is important. And in that same conversation is the importance of rest. It's a balance of movement and rest that's really ideal for the brain and the body. So making sure that you're reaping the maximum benefits from your exercise by also giving it time to rest and recover. Okay, so a couple other categories I wanted to chat about with you guys. Managing technology is one that I think all of us can admit that we're probably not great at, considering we all probably use technology for work to a certain extent and life and connecting people. But I think understanding how to, again, use technology, just like movement or any of these other things mindfully, is extremely important. And, also something I really talk about with my clients a lot, I share this a lot on my page, is implementing the phone free 30. And what that essentially is striving for 30 minutes at least, ideally more, of time away from your phone. And that could also be your computer, email, whatever. 30 minutes upon waking and 30 minutes before bed. And I think creating that very like specific measurable goal in your day is good because it's a bite-sized chunk. You can do that, but it also has so many benefits that might seep into the rest of your day. And the idea there is that, when we wake up in the morning, naturally our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, quote unquote, peaks to its highest point, and then it wanes as the day goes off or goes on. And that's natural. We create cortisol in our bodies, the hormone, and it's important to have that because it gets us up, it gets energized in the morning. We need that little bit of a cortisol boost in the morning. But if we wake up, we get immediately on our phone, immediately look at email, scroll on social media, it raises that cortisol, and you may feel that physically in your body. It's a little low level anxiety, really spike beyond the normal point in the morning. And then it's harder for it to decrease as the day goes on. That's one part. And then if we're continuously on our phones, continuously looking at technology in the evening, especially when we're trying to wind down, our body's trying to produce that melatonin to help us get sleepy. Our cortisol should be low. But if we're just pumping ourselves full of information and blue light from our devices and all that stuff, it decreases melatonin production and it really keeps that cortisol higher than we would like it to be. So that phone free 30, I've found personally, and for so many of my clients, has been a really incredibly helpful little tweak of their day, morning and evening, to help them just allow their bodies to do what they're supposed to do. Have the melatonin rise in the evening, have the cortisol rise in the morning and then wane. So it's important to allow our bodies to do what they're supposed to do. And technology can kind of get in the way of that. So, and the same note is, limiting the mindless scrolling. Typically, I think people do that in the morning, in bed, in the evening, in bed. And maybe it's throughout the day as well. And I think that, there is just so much to be said for the amount of stress that can create in terms of, one, like I said, the blue light is very stimulating for our brains from our phones, from our computers. But I think also just being inundated with content and messages and, all these things all the time, it just kind of raises our level of stress and anxiety. So there's one thing I can encourage you guys to do. It's just to limit the technology used throughout your day. Moving on to alternative medicine, because like I said earlier, this absolutely does have a role in the holistic approach, of course. And, as a holistic health coach, I love providing recommendations and resources for my clients, to have additional ways to help them manage their stress, manage their anxiety, improve all of their, health concerns, whether it's sleep or energy or hormone balance or whatever it is. So I won't dive into all these super deeply because I could do that all day, but just some things I think that might be important or helpful to consider if you are struggling with your stress management would be some alternative medicine practices like acupuncture, aromatherapy, having certain scents. It could be in your own house or next to your bed. It's lavender. It's those relaxing scents. Energy work. There's so many different modalities of energy work. There's Reiki, there's Source Point, there's Rolfing, so many things. And if you've been interested in maybe checking some of them out, I highly recommend. Personally, I've done a lot of different energy work. The thing I probably do the most consistently myself is acupuncture. It has been wildly helpful for my anxiety, for sleep, for hormone balance, for all the things, but especially stress. I think that it really helps the body realign. So I have some resources on my website all about acupuncture if y'all are interested. Share more information there. The last thing I wanted to share is herbs and supplements, because again, I often get asked by my clients and just my community about, my recommendations for these types of tools. I think my biggest thing before I dive into some things I would recommend is that, first and foremost, supplements are just that. They're to help supplement and fill in the gaps in whether it's your diet, whether it is, some imbalance that's going on in your body. I say that because I always want people to understand that like the lifestyle changes, the diet changes are the most important. And so, those should be your first, resort. And once you get a good baseline of, healthy habits, diet, lifestyle habits, it's a great way to add in maybe some supplements or some herbs to help fill in the gaps. But I always want people to know that because it's not realistic to think, okay, I'll take this supplement, but I have terrible sleep habits. I'm on my phone all the time. My diet's not that great. I don't really work out. And then expect this to solve all of your problems, whether it's with stress management or it's anything else. These should be an additional little bonus as well. So, some recommendations, that all being said, that I would have for anxiety, for stress specifically. Again, there's so many things I could dive into, but just to give you guys a few things to think about. First and foremost, I would recommend a probiotic. And that might sound odd, but like I said earlier, when we were talking about diet and nutrition, the gut and the brain are intrinsically linked. And if we have poor gut health, we're probably feeling that in our mental health as well, or through, brain health in terms of cognition and brain fog and all that stuff. So making sure that we are not just eating a nutritious diet, but also maybe helping fill in the gaps a little bit with a probiotic. In addition to that, magnesium has been so helpful for me and for so many people. For myriad reasons. Magnesium can help with muscle cramping, it can help with relaxation, it can improve sleep. There are many different types of magnesium, so making sure that you're getting the right one for whatever your specific health concern is, and obviously talking to your doctor or your health professional before taking anything new. But magnesium can be so great. I love taking it before bed. Last thing here is omega-3s. I'm such a big fan of omega-3s in general. I think that they can, obviously through diet, super important, but I take an omega-3 supplement myself. I think it can help, again, really fill in a lot of nutritional gaps, but it also can be really great for brain health, which again, as we know, impacts mood and energy and all those things. So those are some supplements. In terms of herbs, just quickly, you can take these in the form of a tea, in the form of, capsules, like supplements, so many ways. And if you are going to like an acupuncturist, oftentimes maybe they'll recommend something specific or a specific blend, but some specific herbs that sort of act as adaptogens might be a great option in terms of stress. And adaptogens essentially are herbs or plant compounds that helps our body adapt to stress. So those are things like ashwagandha, maybe that you've heard of those types of things. But some other great options for helping the body relax, things that promote relaxation are like chamomile, valerian root, lavender. So just leaning into some of those things, again, whether it's through aromatherapy, whether it's through actual supplementation, there's a lot of ways to include these into your routine. So I know that's a lot, and I just kind of want to briefly help you guys bring it all together before we can answer any questions. But I really encourage you guys to come back to that 8 dimensions of wellness that I had earlier. You can find this online as well, but I think it's important to understand that everything in our life is connected, everything in our health is connected. And, I don't want this information to be overwhelming. If nothing else, I want it to maybe help illuminate some aspects of your health that are maybe lacking, and maybe how that's impacting your level of stress, and how through taking this more holistic approach, you can increase your level of satisfaction, of happiness, of, relaxation in so many different ways. So you really do have to just approach stress management or any health concern holistically in order for it to be effective. So that you're taking, greater lifestyle changes versus some sort of quick fix that maybe is just highlighting one little narrow aspect of your health and wellness that needs improved. But if you're not looking at the greater picture, you might miss out on a lot of opportunity to really improve your life and your health in a lot of ways. So like I said, moving forward, I would encourage you guys to go back to the 8 dimensions of wellness and maybe think about some of those areas that might be lacking a little bit of attention. Maybe it's emotional health, maybe it's physical health, or it's spiritual health, or whatever. Probably a multitude of those things that are connected. But moving forward, I always encourage people to set, specific and concrete goals, and not, making it so big and overwhelming, but breaking it down into, okay, I'm going to commit to the phone-free 30. I'm going to commit to, incorporating 2 new veggies into my diet this week, or I'm going to order that probiotic online, or whatever it is, really specific things that you can accomplish, so that you build that momentum and you start reaching those bigger goals over time. And then, like I said, you can see how those small sustainable changes really add up. And that's always the approach to take for any health concern, but especially stress management. It should not be more stressful to adapt these change or adapt to this new sort of lifestyle change. It should be little things you're just doing over time to make it realistic. So that being said, additional resources, because of course we're limited on time today and there's so much we could talk about in terms of stress and just wellness in general. I have a variety of wellness workshops that I've led over time that I've recorded and have on my website. For these are just a few examples, but I have many more about stress, burnout, sleep, healthy habits, morning and evening routines, holistic health, etc. So if you are interested in learning more, specifically, of course, the Stick It to Stress workshop would be very helpful to check out. And it just dives into some things in a little bit more detail. And then, yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer. And I know we'll talk about the giveaway and all that stuff, but these are obviously ways to reach me as well. So thank you guys so much. Happy to answer any questions. Reading some of these comments. Oops, Q&A. Oh, amazing. Here we go. Okay. Will the slides be, I'm not sure. That would be, Jacqueline, that would be a good question for you. Someone asked if the slides would be available afterwards. Happy to send these along if that would be helpful for anyone.
So for everyone who is attending today, or if anybody missed it and you know someone missed it, we actually are going to have the recorded version of the entire thing on our website. So if you go to our website, post event, and just hit events, there's an events tab, and you can watch it over and over, because I know for me, Georgia, you gave so much amazing information. I want to watch it a few times so that I kind of, yeah, and so I can kind of get everything in my head, because I was taking notes. I'm a note taker, so I was taking notes of all the things that I need to do. And I love how at the end you gave little tips to make it simple. Do you also have any tips to help people to stick to it? Because I'm a big starter, but I'm not always a big finisher. So I don't know if anybody has that problem.
I so understand. And of course, that's why I love to work with clients one-on-one, because you can kind of have that sort of accountability that I think so many people need, myself included. But like I said, I think the biggest tip would be simply just to make these little changes doable. I think people make goals that are so big, and I love that. I love the ambition, but we can kind of set ourselves up for failure in not breaking them down into really specific, measurable things that you can do every week, like taking that bigger goal and dividing it into realistic chunks, and then maybe breaking that down even more into what can I do today? Order the supplement online or whatever it is, because it will help you build, again, like I said earlier, that momentum. And really the key to feeling successful in any health journey is building off of momentum. And the way you build momentum is feeling successful. And so therefore you need to set yourself up to be able to do that task, cross it off your list, and then do the next thing. And that in itself is more motivating to take on the next little task or step towards that goal. So not maybe inadvertently setting yourself up for failure by making those goals too big, if that makes sense.
No, I love that, because I'm a big go home girl. So I want to
which I love. That's great.
Yeah, I want to try to do all 8 things at once. So I think I'm going to start with the phone free 30, because that really resonated with me.
Perfect. I love it.
I do wake up and scroll, and then I'm late, and then it takes my morning off. So that's going to be my first place to start. So I really appreciate that. And then I know you also have a giveaway that you have.
Very
excited. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Of course. So yes, I will be giving away 5 copies of this wonderful workbook/guide that I am hopefully going to have launched within the next few weeks. It is called the Goodness Guide, and it essentially is a wonderful way to help. It's a wellness journal. There's also some guided activities that help you set goals, kind of exactly what we're talking about, breaking them down into small action steps. I mean, it dives much more deeply into holistic health, the different aspects of health and wellness that we discussed today, but in a little bit more detail. And I provide a lot of the very specific activities, resources, tools I use with my clients. And I wanted to put them in an actual book that will be in both a physical book format you can buy on Amazon, as well as a PDF, if you'd prefer an ebook. because I just wanted to, again, reach more people and have people utilize a lot of the same great resources that my clients get to use. So I'll be giving away 5 free copies. So very excited about that. I
Oh,
think it'll
that's
be very
awesome.
helpful.
Yeah. So look, since we're talking about journaling, I did get another question. So maybe this is something that they can
Right.
journal. They're asking for a beginner to exercise or movement. Do you have anything that you recommend that they start with? Is there something we haven't exercised before, Georgia? We're not a
I love it.
movement. People. Where do we start?
Again, I mean, I feel like we'll say the same thing, but it's doing something realistic for you. And this is a great example of if you're, very much new to exercise, going and thinking, okay, I'm going to commit to working out every single day, doing this very intense workout program, whatever it is, probably not going to be the most successful long term. So doing, breaking it down and to doing, okay, I'm gonna start with 2 days a week. I'm gonna do 3 days a week. And then, really building up that momentum and then going, and extending yourself further if you feel when you get to that point. I think that, it sounds so simple, but walking is perhaps one of the most amazing forms of exercise, period. Bringing it full circle to an amazing exercise, not just for your physical body, but for your mental health. Walking is one of the best ways to manage stress. Even bonus if you can get outside and do it. But I think just physically moving your body, but it's like I said earlier, it's a great like low impact workout. It's great for not just cardiovascular health, obviously, but it's just a really good way to kind of connect with your body and connect with nature if you're able to do it outside. So I think if you're super new to working out, just committing to, okay, I'm going to commit to a 20-minute walk X amount of days a week, something like that. And then, of course, over time, it'd be great to add in a little bit of strength training exercises, whether that's for you, maybe that's yoga or Pilates or lifting weights at the gym, whatever it is. But I think, whatever works best for you and your schedule and your body is great. It's just setting realistic goals for how many times you're able to do that a week, if that makes sense.
I love it. So I can go 30 minutes without my phone on a walk. I got it.
Yes, perfect. Even better. I
So
love it.
I can combine some of the things. I also heard you talk about with your diet adaptogens, which is really cool because we actually just launched a brand new skincare collection that has adaptogens in it. So it does have some
Perfect.
ashwagandha and some other adaptogens. Tell us again, just can you give us a little bit more of how they help with holistic health or how they help to relieve stress?
Right.
And is there any one that if I could only pick one, do you have a favorite?
Again, I think there's so much bio individuality in terms of course, health in general. And I think may take a little bit of trial and error to see what works best for people, you, of course, just like skincare. Maybe your skincare routine is personalized to a certain extent based on your skin type, and that kind of stuff. Supplements are another great example. And as is diet of, figuring out what works for you. I think that, there are some that are more universally studied slash just, available. Things like ashwagandha is one that I think is now so much more common because it's just easier to find. So that would be a great place to start. Now, and that's one I think that so many people it seems more user friendly, perhaps because it's just more available. I mean, you can go to Whole Foods and find ashwagandha, or probably a normal grocery store these days, which is great. But as I said, everyone's body's different, so it may take some time to figure out. Okay, I tried that supplement and it really worked well for my friend, but it didn't work for me, so I'm going to try something else. Um, so yeah, I think that might be a great place to start. But adaptogens in general are typically, like I said earlier, they can be herbs, they can be mushrooms. There are a variety of different plant foods, compounds that usually they're ground up into whether it's a tea, whether it's an absolute capsule, supplement form. And again, like I said, they are referred to as adaptogens because they help your body adapt to stress. And, plant compounds have so many amazing elements to them that can help our body do so many things, full of polyphenols, and they're, great antioxidants that help our body be more resilient to stress, to cellular damage. So yeah, I mean, it's great to add them in topically on skincare. I love that you guys are doing that as well as to consume them internally. So you kind of do the double whammy if you're using it maybe as a
Right. I love
supplement and in your skincare. I love it.
Yeah. So we did have a registered dietitian in our chat who
Love it.
recommended during the exercise program that you can monitor your heart rate, calculate it, and then go like 60 to 80%. So I think we can accomplish that on our walk. But what about with
For sure.
yoga or Pilates or something else like that? Will that also get you to those new levels?
I think so too. And I think the most ideal, obviously, combination is doing things to support muscle, whether it's
Yeah.
yoga, it's strength training in some way, whether that's yoga, Pilates, lifting weights, whatever it is. Then also pairing that with activities like walking or going for a bike ride, whatever it is, things that are really good for promoting cardiovascular health. They're just good too that type of movement is typically really great also for, kind of getting in tune with your body. It's a mindfulness practice to a certain extent. Walking can be that way. It helps you sort of fit in with your breath and be present in that way. So I think the best combination that I would recommend, and I found to be the best just for my own routine, is having that great combination of, some more cardio-based workouts, typically, walking. And that's a very user-friendly way to start. And then also pairing that with some more strength training-based workouts, like, again, it could be anything, lifting weights, going to a class, yoga, Pilates, whatever.
I love it. All right. I think our audience is fascinated with adaptogens because we
Love
have
it.
another adaptogen. I think because they're so new and we've heard of vitamins and minerals, but adaptogens, I think that's kind of a new buzzword. So Melanie is wondering exactly, and I don't know how much time you have to be really specific, but how do they adapt exactly help our bodies to manage stress or adapt to stress? Are they calming? Are they anti-inflammatory? Like, what are they doing? Are they taking cortisol down? How are they working?
A lot of adaptogens aren't as probably well studied as
Yeah.
certain things that are, like other types of supplements and things like that are more regulated. So a lot of them is, the term adaptogen is kind of a loose phrase, perhaps. That's not a super regulated term, and that's why these are more considered a holistic or like alternative medicine
Yeah.
approach. But it's interesting, like even my medical doctor, who, is perhaps more holistically bent, but, is very much a more Western practicing doctor, is like, it can hurt, try taking them. I think they've seen just through people's experience that these have been so much more helpful over time. And I think the biggest thing with adaptogens too is making sure you're giving them enough time to work.
Yeah.
For example, when I go to my acupuncturist, they oftentimes will recommend like herbal supplements, which are typically a combination of herbs that act as adaptogens in your body. You have to take them for several weeks to really feel that difference. And I think that can be a tough thing for a lot of people that are looking for maybe more instantaneous solution to a lot of problems. But like anything in life, they usually take time. So, to say that I'm may not be able to get into the nitty gritty scientific, chemical breakdown of how they interact with your body, but I think, doing a little bit of trial and error with different types of adaptogens, but also, like I said, everyone's a little bit different. So you have to figure out which type of adaptogen and what type of herb or supplement your body responds to well, because, everyone's chemical makeup is very different, and therefore different types of adaptogens may work better or worse for certain types of people.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely have to find what works for you. Just like, a chamomile tea might work for some people and
Right.
not necessarily for other people. I just know for myself, ashwagandha helps me sleep. I don't know why it helps me sleep. I
Right.
don't care. It helps me sleep. And so,
I
and it
love
works
it.
better
That's
for me
great.
than
I'm glad you found
melatonin.
something that works.
Yeah, so it took a little while, but I just take it at bedtime, and now I can definitely tell when I haven't had it. Because I feel like I don't sleep as well, or if I'm
Right.
traveling, I know that I'm gonna need it for my traveling. So,
Right.
uh, I mean, so much good information. It sounds like we need to do a lot of research on our own. So, how how do people? I know we have your social media, but if someone's not in your city and they wanted virtual coaching as opposed to seeing you in person, is that something that you offer? Can we have that to learn
Yes.
more?
Yes, absolutely. I actually see all of my clients virtually, which makes it pretty easy. So you can, on my website, which I believe is on this slide that I'm still sharing, you can find all information about health coaching. I will be taking on new one-on-one coaching clients in mid-September, but I also do offer health coaching intensive, which are essentially they're 75-minute one-off sessions where we dive into goal setting and you can ask a ton of questions. And it's a great way to sort of kickstart some healthy routines and habits as well, versus my one-on-one coaching that's over like a 3-month period. It's more consistent. But I'll be taking on new clients for that here in, about 6 weeks or so. So all that information is on my site. And yes, to answer your question, it's all virtual as well. So it makes it pretty easy to connect with people not in my city, which is pretty nice.
All right, that is awesome. So everybody, make sure that you are writing this information down, or you are screenshotting this slide. So if you want to get in contact with Georgia, that is amazing. So we want to give away some of your journals.
Yay!
So I have some lucky winners.
Amazing.
That are going to win your journal. So if you hear your name, then you are going to go ahead and contact Georgia. No, I'm sorry. We're going to contact you. I'm going to listen. Don't listen to any of the stuff I said at the beginning. We're going to contact you.
Perfect.
And we're going to make sure that you get the goodness guide. So Georgia was so generous. We are giving away 5 of these guides. So I have Jessica Aloa. So Aloia, in case I have said it incorrectly. Heather Crosby. I also have Charlie Burke, Tay Sims, and Amy Stewart. So those are our 5 winners. You are going to get the journal. And I also have one more little giveaway. It is not from Georgia, but it is from Image Skincare. These are 3 absolute must-have, work for everybody products. So we have our MD Restoring Serum. This is our Power Serum, the best serum, I think, on the market today. Vitamin C. Anybody who knows anything about vitamin C, I just say it's my BLT, brighten, lighten, tighten. So if you need brighten, lightening, or tightening, which is pretty much everybody, you are going to need this product. We have our clear solar gel. So this is an SPF 30 that is 100% clear and 80 water resistant for 80 minutes. I absolutely love. And one of my absolute favorites are Ormetic Balancing Lip Enhancement Complex, organic avocado oil, and some really nice lip plumping ingredients. So that is a $191 value. And that one is going to Soria Phillips. So everybody, just look out in your emails. We are going to be contacting you. Everybody who registered for this is in the drawing. So if you're wondering like, oh, I didn't register to win, how did I win? Every single person who is attending and registered is in the drawing. So thank you, Georgia. Thank you for your information. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for taking the time to answer our questions and for sharing your information. I hope so many people are reaching out to you and at least got a couple of little jewels that they can take away for their journey on their holistic health journey. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Words. Thank you so much for attending, and maybe we'll see you next year.
Yay, can't wait. See you guys soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.